as physicians, as family physicians, and as orthopedic surgeons, we always have a disease burden of various arthritis, which are of the magnitude of more than 100-150 types. Chronic inflammatory arthritis, which are commonly rheumatoid arthritis and osteoarthritis, are the real burden. So we'll be discussing this disease under various heads like pathophysiology, current options and their limitations, and the role of a novel anti-inflammatory agent. Rheumatoid arthritis, it's a systemic disorder characterized by a chronic inflammatory polyarthritis of unknown etiology. It basically affects your large joints, your joints of the small joints of the hand. It also involves skin, eyes, lungs, and the blood vessels. There is fluctuating clinical course. Your patient have good days, bad days, acute flare-ups, fluctuating clinical course, and unpredictable prognosis associated with 60% increase in the risk of CVT-related deaths. It's complex and multifactorial pathogenesis. In rheumatoid arthritis pathophysiology, there occurs activation of the macrophages by antigen-presenting cells and the T cells, which in turn releases the inflammatory cytokines and macrophages, tumor necrosis factor alpha and interleukin-1. These in turn leads to synovitis, production of collagenases, leading to the destruction of the extracellular matrix, release of MMPs leading to cartilage destruction. Again, for osteoarthritis, we have primary osteoarthritis dealing with the age-related osteoarthritis, which is common, and it can be secondary because of trauma, because of infection. Here again, the tumor necrosis factor alpha, interleukin-1 are the major cytokines involved in the pathogenesis. There is again elevated level of interleukin-6, interleukin-17 and MMPs in the synovial fluid. RA and OA, they have nearly similar pathophysiology. The tumor necrosis factor alpha, interleukin-1, release of these inhibited inflammatory cytokines is regulated by nuclear factor kappa B. Nuclear factor kappa B is a transcription factor present in all the cells. NF-κB plays an important role in inflammatory and immune responses. NF-κB acts as a master switch to turn inflammation on and off in the body. The various disorders due to NF-κB activation are RA, OA, ankylosing spondylosis, psoriatic arthritis, and the juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. Hence, the NF-κB is the master switch of inflammation. Whenever there is inflammatory stimuli, there occurs activation of the NF-κB, which causes translocation into the nucleus and activation of the gene encoding inflammatory mediators. The mediators are the pro-inflammatory cytokines and the inducible enzyme which releases the inflammatory mediators. As a result of activation of NF-κB, there occurs action on the synovial membrane, there occurs inflammation, there occurs proliferation of synovicites and hence the pannus formation. On the chondrocytes, there occurs increased activity of the COX-2 and MMPs and hence cartilage destruction. On the bone, there occurs osteoclastogenesis and bone erosion. NF-κB plays a very important role in inflammation and immune responses through the regulation of the genes encoding pro-inflammatory cytokines and the inducible enzymes. Current options for the RA and OA and their limitations. The agents that provides only symptomatic relief, NSAIDs. These are not suitable for the elderly patients. The various other side effects on the long-term use are gastritis, nausea, vomiting, upper GI bleeding, renotoxicity, hepatotoxicity, increased CV function. For the steroids, not advisable for the long-term use because they cause gastritis, ulceration, diabetes, hypertension, osteoporosis, muscle weakness, atrophy, avascular necrosis, and increased risk of infection, tuberculosis in particular. The second group of current options and their limitations are the agents that control the disease progression, the DMARDs, methotrexate, hydrochloroquine, and leufinamide. These are slow in action. They take several weeks to show clinical effects. They provide partial response only. There is loss in the efficacy with the continued use. Need to closely monitor the patients for the adverse effects. So regular LFTs and CBCs are to be done. For the biologics, they are target a specific inflammatory mediator only. The injection site reactions, there is also increased in the risk of the tuberculosis, other bacterial infection, CHF, demyelinating diseases such as multiple sclerosis, cancer, and of course, these are very expensive drugs. So what is need in the today's scenario? There is need for an effective, yet safe and well-tolerated anti-inflammatory agent. So at Emicon, we have an innovative option for the management of arthritis, and we have a curcumin, that is diferluen methane. It's a biological active phytochemical compound obtained from the rhizomes of the curcuma longa or turmeric. It possesses various diverse activities like anti-inflammatory activity, anti-rheumatic activity, antioxidant, anti-proliferative, anti-angiogenic. There are more than 65 trials being taken up on more than 1,000 patients which have been completed, and there are at least 35 ongoing clinical trials on this. Curcumin, how it acts? Basically, curcumin is NF-κB inhibitor and it controls the master switch of inflammation. The various actions of curcumin, it inhibits IKB kinase enzyme, thereby it prevents activation of NF-κB. It prevents translocation into the nucleus. It prevents release of the inflammatory mediators. There are various evidences which show the curcumin has a role in RA and OA. Study number 1 for RA, a comparative study of curcumin with diclofenac. Curcumin provides greater improvement in the disease activity score and American College of Rheumatology score as compared to diclofenac. All the parameters like total painful joints, total swollen joints, patient's general global assessment, physician's global assessment, all are greatly reduced. Now 52% reduction in C-reactive protein with curcumin, and hence curcumin is effective, it is safe in patients with active RA. Study 2 for RA, a pilot project of curcumin on 18 patients with RA were treated with curcumin for 2 weeks. They showed improvement in the joint swelling, improvement in the morning stiffness and walking time. Curcumin was very well tolerated with better GI tolerability, and hence curcumin is found to be effective and very well tolerated. Coming to the studies and evidences for OA study 1. The real life experience with curcumin monotherapy, 820 OA patients attending outpatient clinics were treated with curcumin for 6 months. The results were significant improvement in pain, improvement in the joint flexibility, better quality of life. 50% of patients were able to discontinue the use of NSAIDs and analgesics. So curcumin therapy was very well tolerated, and hence curcumin relieves pain and reduces the need for NSAIDs. OA study 2, a comparative study of curcumin with ibuprofen. 367 primary knee OA patients with a pain score of greater than equal to 5 were randomized to receive ibuprofen or curcumin for 4 weeks. There was significant decrease in the WOMAC pain score, significant decrease in the WOMAC stiffness score, significant improvement in the WOMAC function score from the baseline in both the groups. Curcumin was found to be effective as ibuprofen. lower incidence of GIT adverse effect in curcumin group, and hence curcumin is an effective as NSAIDs but have better GI tolerability. Study 3 for OA. Role of curcumin monotherapy. 100 patients with OA were treated with curcumin for 8 months. The results were significant decrease in the serum inflammatory biomarkers, greater than 50% decrease in the WOMAC score, threefold increase in the treadmill walking performance. In patients already on NSAIDs and analgesic, co-administration of curcumin was associated with decreased need of NSAIDs, marked reduction in the GI side effects, and hence curcumin is effective and is safe for long-term management of osteoarthritis. Last study, combination therapy of curcumin and diclofenac. 88 patients of primary OA knee were randomized to receive diclofenac alone or diclofenac with curcumin for 3 months. As compared to diclofenac monotherapy, combination of curcumin with diclofenac was associated with greater pain relief, better improvement in knee score and osteoarthritic outcome score. And hence, curcumin when given in combination with NSAIDs, it provides additional benefit. Curcumin and combination therapy. Curcumin when given alone with celecoxib, it enhances the action of celecoxib on COX-2. It decreases the need for celecoxib. Curcumin when given in combination with prednisolone, it provides additive anti-inflammatory action through inhibition of the inflammatory cytokinase, significant reduction in the joint swelling, reduction in the side effect due to steroids. Curcumin when administered with methotrexate, it provides synergistic anti-arthritic action, may help to reduce the doses of methotrexate. It reduces the risk of the hepatotoxicity and hematological toxicities. Curcumin safety. Curcumin is generally recognized as safe, GRAS, by US FDA. No noticeable adverse events were observed when doses up to 8 grams daily for 3 months was given. Unlike NSAIDs, it is free from adverse effects on kidney, liver or cardiovascular system even after long-term use. Occasionally, patients may complain of mild and transient nausea or diarrhea. Unlike NSAIDs, steroids and DMARD, curcumin is very well tolerated. Conventional curcumin, it's a hydrophobic polyphenolic compound which is poorly absorbed from the GI tract. It is undetectable in the plasma. It doesn't reach systemic organs and the tissues, and hence there is a question mark on its efficacy. The clinical trials carried out with conventional curcumin have used higher doses up to 12 grams per day. Fewer studies have not shown positive results, poor GI tolerability. So what is the need in the today's scenario? It's a need for a bioavailable, effective and a well-tolerated curcumin formulation. Bio-enhanced curcumin based on SMEDDS technology, self-micro-emulsifying drug delivery system. I repeat, self-micro-emulsifying drug delivery system has been developed. As a result of that, the nano-sized hydrophilic droplets of curcumins are provided and hence improved absorption, better tissue penetration. The bio-enhanced curcumin on its pharmacokinetic study showed there is ensuring a higher bioavailability. We can see with the Cmax and Tmax there is higher bioavailability of the bio-enhanced curcumin. So bio-enhanced curcumin summary. It inhibits the master switch of inflammation, NFKB. It decreases the release of the inflammatory prostaglandins and cytokinins. The monotherapy found to be effective and safe in the treatment of RMOA. Efficacy at par with NSAIDs, but with better GI tolerability. When given along with the NSAIDs, steroids, it provides additive synergistic action and helps to reduce the dose. When given along with the methotrexate, it helps to reduce the risk of the hepatotoxicity. Unlike biologics, it can be given orally. It is safe, it is well tolerated. Suitable option for monotherapy as well as combination therapy. Bio-enhanced curcumin place in the therapy, an attractive option in management of the rheumatoid arthritis and osteoarthritis, either as monotherapy or as combination therapy. Particularly useful options in the following groups of the patients: intolerant to the NSAIDs, steroids and DMARDs, compromised renal function patients, hepatic dysfunction patients, CV disorder patients, for example, hypertension and CHF. So, bio-enhanced curcumin, it is effective, it is safe, it is well tolerated option. Thank you. Thanks for your patient listening.